breaking news.
I got it if you need it.
Yeah, I got
Jeff Passan, go ahead.
Here we go, a big one. Well, before you say it, I'm so excited. Is it local baseball related?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bro. We don't.
Is it Mets related or Yankees related?
It's Yankee related.
Okay.
Mets aren't doing anything for a couple days.
Well, okay. Let's find out. Break it.
Max Fried is a Yankee.
Whoa.
You got Max Fried
For 8 years.
Oh my God.
$218 million.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, my goodness, Christ.
Oh, wow. I mean, I guess that's...
Why are you upset? You wanted the player. We were just talking about him, and now the 8 years is too much?
I know what I said about 7. 8 years is a lot, and 218 mil is a lot.
And he's 31.
Jeez.
But whatever.
This feels like a panic move, I have to tell you.
I agree, and my initial gut reaction is this.
But before you continue, I just did the calculations. $27 million is a reasonable number.
Right.
It is.
Considering how good he is and considering what some of these other starters have gotten, this is a Yankee thing where they bring the AAV down, but they give you a lot of years. So before you continue, I just want the info. 8 years, 218, it's $27.25 million a year, which is not a crazy per year number.
No,
Go ahead.
it's not. He's exceptional. He's 30 years old.
This, again, I think this is where I don't know how I was going to react until I'm reacting. I, again, have to see the rest of this offseason now continue. This feels like the Yankees spending like drunken sailors, which is what they told us they weren't going to do when you consider an 8-year deal for Max Fried. If Corbin Burns goes somewhere for 6 to 7 years, I'm going to be a little upset that this is the route the Yankees chose to go.
Yeah, but you should still ultimately be happy with this.
I'm happy that Max Fried is going to be in the Yankee rotation.
Is exceptional.
Right.
Exceptional.
I am happy about that. I just don't... Look, we live in a world where, based on the Giancarlo Stanton deal from years past, the Yankees missed out on Bryce Harper, Manny Machado. I just don't want Max Fried for this length of time, meaning they miss out on other pieces.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
I mean, at the end of this, he'll be 38 years old at the end of his deal. Last year, he threw, I didn't even realize this, he had 2 complete games a year ago?
Yeah, but he also missed a handful of starts due to this left forearm. I can't describe it, but he had back-to-back left forearm injuries.
Right, but he still started 29 games.
Correct, yeah. And the year before that, he missed half the season with this left, I think it was a left forearm strain. The rest of his injuries are very fluky. He had a hamstring issue. He's had blister problems. I don't really put much stock in that. The concern you have to have, and look, this is the point that was made against Juan Soto. I just actually got a text message from a buddy of mine who's like, you want a DH at 38 years old? The concern you have is the back end of the deal.
Yeah.
And the only time the back end of the deal should concern you is if you're concerned the owner isn't going to spend because of it. So if Hal is willing in year 5 or 6 to fill other holes, even if Max Fried has become this sunken cost, then it's okay. And that's the truth. It's the truth about Soto, and it's the truth about a contract like this. We need a commitment from the owner that he's not going to let this contract and this long-term commitment affect him from doing other things. Because it's possible these 3 guys to lead your rotation long-term, Carlos Rodon, Garrett Cole, and Max Fried, it's possible they all have injury histories. I mean, they all do have injury histories, but it's possible they're not healthy. Will this owner commit to still allowing to improve that aspect of your team if need be? Now, you do have Luis Seal and Clark Schmidt, so you've got younger, cheaper guys under team control, but that's where I get worried about contracts if I want to be fair about it.
Getting those years bothers me. Now, what I like about it, again, in the initial part of this, Garrett Cole this year goes down with more arm fatigue or whatever. They're insured here with Max Fried a little bit. So I like that, but I'm worried about that. I don't trust this organization not to feel like they've been held hostage later on.
But in the short term, it's a great signing.
Yes.
You can't look at it any other way.
In the short term, the New York Yankees now have a loaded rotation. And it's totally fair to look at it that way. I've made this point about long-term deals, too. Like, don't freak out about 7 years from now. 8 years is alarming. But keep in mind, that average annual salary is low.
Right.
Like, for a guy as good as Fried to get him at $27.5 million,
because
that's not high.
It's the largest deal for a left-handed pitcher in history.
Montas got 22, right?
Montas is making 17.
Oh, so who got 22? Who am I thinking got 22?
Severino over 3?
Yeah, I think Luis Severino got $22 million. Yes.
Severino got $22 million.
What did Blake Snell get over the course of his contract? He ended up signing, let me pull it up right now, a 5-year, $182 million deal. So my calculator isn't working. What's 182 divided by 5? Do you know that off the top of your head, Teak?
36.
Wow. There you go.
Right.
You guys see the difference?
Wow.
Like, think about that so that's the benefit of what the Yankees just did. If we're going to be fair in analyzing this, they got him for a very reasonable AAV.
Right.
And that's the Yankee thing right now.
That's 10 less.
And Blake Snell versus Max Fried.
And Blake probably has more of an injury history, does he?
I think what concerns me about Snell is that he doesn't throw strikes, and you wonder how he's going to age when the stuff isn't as good. Like Max Fried walks 2.5 guys per 9 innings. So to me, you look at Fried's stuff and you feel better about the way it's going to age. Look, this is very tough to digest because the Yankees are clearly better. The Yankees have a rotation that's loaded. Let's just have an honest conversation about it. You asked yesterday, what's their identity? There's their identity. This is a really good rotation. You're talking about Garrett Cole and Max Fried as your 1-2, the Rookie of the Year in Luis Gil, Clark Schmidt and Carlos Rodon as your 5 guys, and that doesn't even mention Nestor Cortez and Marcus Stroman, who you may end up trading. And I mentioned this at the top of the show. The reason why Fried was intriguing is that you could trade Clark Schmidt right now.
Right.
I know you don't want to, but you can in one of these bigger deals. Kyle Tucker's available. Goodbye, SNY. They'll have more on this with Baseball Night in New York, presented by Tri-State Cadillac. That's next on SNY. But if you want Kyle Tucker or someone else we're not even thinking about, let's say the Padres wake up and they're like, man, we got too many big-ass contracts. Manny Machado. Just saying, just throwing that out there. Clark Schmidt, Luis Gil can get you a lot back. So it gives you the wiggle room to do that because you have a rotation anchored by Garrett Cole and Max Fried. Sean's depressed, Teak. Do you see this?
Well, you're thinking too far down the line.
I am.
Don't worry about down the line. Think about the next 3 to 5 years.
I want to.
That's what you need to do. You need to maximize the Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge era right now. Maximize it the best you can. In the next 3 to 5 years, you have effectively done that.
No, you're being sensible. I think I just have really bad scars about not getting Bryce Harper and Machado as a result of having Stanton. And I'm just trying to connect those dots. And I know that doesn't make sense. Tiki's right. Sensibly, the next 2-3 years, this is great. Load up the rotation. It's what I wanted. I just can't help but think my initial gut punch is I don't like that this is an 8-year deal.
Hey, look, the 8-year part is very tough to swallow, but here's what should make you feel better. I doubt you're trading for Garrett Crochet now. And your booty of prospects can be used for Kyle Tucker or some other position player that we're not thinking about because right now the Yankees have a loaded rotation. You look around baseball right now and forget the National League because I think the National League is irrelevant to you when you're competing to get back to the World Series. Can you name a rotation as good as this one?
Right.
The Dodgers?
No, I just said the American League. I just said it. It was like literally right out of my mouth.
He's down and out here. He's not listening to the show. He needs a pat on the back.
Dodgers have injury concerns with their rotation.
Yeah, every one of them. Otani's off Tommy John.
Right.
Tyler Glasnow's a walking injury.
Right.
Blake Snell walks me if I stepped up to the plate. But I didn't want to include the Dodgers because they're irrelevant. In the American League right now, despite losing Juan Soto, I'd argue this. I still think the Yankees are the best team in the American League.
I would argue that the Mariners, I know you yelled at me.
Mariners have a very good rotation.
They have a very,
You're right.
very good rotation. They don't have household names like the Yankees do, but they have a very good starting rotation.
Absolutely. I think that's the one that matches them. Good call by the Mariners on that.
So you're right on the American League, but if you're considering the Yankees still the best team in the American League even without Juan Soto, I'll get there with you. This is where the Dodgers and the Mets and teams like that do
Forget the Dodgers and the Mets. They're in a different league, bro.
I can't forget them. The goal for our baseball team is to win the World Series, not make
Sean,
it.
you need to chill on the World Series because you got to get there first.
Yes.
Get there first.
Get there, man.
Evan, you just said they're the best team. So my point is, this is where I'm factoring it in. Are they good enough to go toe-to-toe with that rotation in a World Series?
Oh, here's what I know.
That
Why are
does
you
matter.
thinking about the World Series?
Yeah, stop, bro. You got to.
I'm confused.
You have to get through the regular season. You've got to make the postseason, and then you got to beat everybody in the American League.
No.
And right now, even after losing Juan Soto and now adding Max Fried, I look around at the American League. I see the Orioles. I see you. I see the Guardians high.
You're missing the point.
The
Forget it.
Yankees are the best team in the American League. So in the short term, if we're not freaking out about 7 years from now,
Jesus Christ.
just call me Evan.
Evan.
You telling me you can't hit a curveball?
Evan. I hear you. I know that. They're the best team in the American League. I just saw the team go. You guys can say forget the World. I understand that. I'm with you guys on that. My point is, when you sign to make a dominant rotation, for me, it's not about getting through the regular season. It's about going up against the best of the best in baseball. That's the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Mets. If we get to a World Series, Does Max Fried, in my mind, go, you know what? Now we have that guy on the mound in game 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Where, think about it. The
Yes,
Yankees had won.
yes.
Okay, this is why I'm trying to be positive about it. When the Yankees blew game 5, okay, what was the fear if they won? They had Carlos Rodon going. Now having Max Fried, this is where I'm coming around to what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm not worried about the American League because I consider them the best team in the American League. I'm worried about winning the ultimate prize.
I gotcha. I think sometimes with these contracts, and we'll get your reaction. We will definitely squeeze in calls 888-808-1019 if you're just tuning in. Max Fried to the New York Yankees. It's an 8-year, $218 million contract, so it's an incredibly long deal, but his AAV is only $27 million a year. Here's the battle we have to make if you're a Yankee fan or an IBO. In the short term, the New York Yankees just got significantly better. Their rotation is loaded. The negative is 8 years for Max Fried. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, but you can't even think about the negative. You can't think about the length because it doesn't matter.
If you don't think about the length, then you should be pumped up as a Yankee fan because your rotation's loaded.
This is where Tiki's also right. Why else can't you think about the length? You just did the average per year. Well, what the hell is the average per year going to be like for starting pitchers in year 5, 6, and 7, and 8 in baseball's economy?
Fair point.
Because think about what it's gone to now.
Right. It might be chump change by then.
Where Montas is getting 17.
Yeah.
And Sevy, who had 1 rebound year, is getting 22.
Let me think about that. That's all you need to know.
It took me 10 minutes. I was impolite. I'm back. I'm all in. Let's go Yankees.
I keep thinking about Blake Snell. Blake Snell got $182 million over 5 years. That is, God, I'm so bad with this.
36.4.
30. That's almost $10 million a year more than Max Fried. Let me tell you right now.
Did you not trust my immediate math?
I do. I just love seeing it in front of me, like on a screen. But my phone died, so I have to use my tablet for it.
Right.
Think about that. Does anyone in their right mind think Blake Snell is $9 million a year per year better than Max
Not
Fried?
when he makes 20 starts last year and this time.
Well,
that part of that was because he got in a camp late, but you know it.
No, it's a factor. Look, they have injury histories. All right, we'll get to your calls next. Max Fried is a New York Yankee. Evan and Tiki here on The Fan.